Imagine brain points are kind of like a mental currency. Let's say you start off with 100 brain points per day. Everything that you do uses some brain points. Small things, like for example, choosing what clothes to wear, drains your brain points by 5. Big things like a big work project, like recording a YouTube video, takes 50. You wake up and you start with 100 a day. The first thing you do is what? Because you're probably a retard, you grab your phone and you check your notifications. You just lost 10 brain points. You click on one of the apps and you message the person, you just lost another 5 brain points. You've got 85 left. You get up, you brush your teeth for like 65 seconds, even though you say it was 2 minutes. You do your little shitty morning routine, you go downstairs, you decide what to eat, you've ate some carbs, you've just lost another 10. You've got 75. Deciding what to wear and listening to music and quickly consuming some content, you're below 50. You've got 45. There was this work task you said you'd do today, but you need 50 for it, and now you feel mentally incapable for it. And you know how that feels, right? You know how some days like you wake up with a certain task you want to do, and you just feel like mentally incapable for it. Like you just mentally just couldn't deal with that right now. That's because you've got less brain points left than how much the task takes. And don't those days fucking suck, by the way? Like, doesn't it fucking suck when you've got like a clear task you said you would do? You said you'd do it like when you woke up or maybe after school or something or after the gym, and you just keep procrastinating it because you're like, I just can't be asked. I just can't really do it right now. Those days spiritually like really fuck with you, right? Like they fuck with your fulfillment because like you would have been fulfilled if you did that work, but you sapped your brain points. You didn't conserve them for that big task. Is that how you want to live your life? You want to wake up, use your brain points for all this like random invisible shit that doesn't add to your success, to your status, to your like your fulfillment, and then feel like that you're mentally incapable for the big task. So how else should you live your life? Go on, like think to yourself right now, what would be a better day where you allocate your brain points? When you wake up, what would you do? Would you grab your phone and check the notifications? No. You wake up with 100 brain points. Imagine you wake up, your eyes open, you stand up and you sit down onto your desk right away. I'm talking stinky breath, like you haven't even brushed your teeth right now. I'm talking you haven't even checked your phone. You've not even clicked it to quickly see the notifications just in case there's something there you've got to see. I'm talking your eyes open, you stand up and you sit the fuck down and you start working. You know why? Because you start with the day with 100 brain points, you used 0 so far, and now you actually will feel like you're capable of the task ahead. I'm telling you right now, this is the one productivity tactic that changed my life. When I was trying to become an entrepreneur like you, and I was trying to make the first like dollar online or the first like $1,000, first $5,000, I kept on procrastinating. This was when I was living in Manchester in that apartment I usually mention. I'd wake up and I'd check my phone. Sometimes I'd jack off in the morning. I'd have a shit. I'd like be watching Reddit and like scrolling on like social media. And then a lot of the time I'll go and make some food, make some tea, make some coffee, all that cute shit that white girls do. Like you make a coffee before you work and stuff. And I'd get some like little snacks. And I'd say that I was going to work, but I'd usually just go on a website or go on like play some games or something in the mornings. A lot of the times I'd just randomly just go and grab the weed that I had. So I would like smoke with a fucking pipe. I'd just start smoking this. Like, bro, 0 brain points left. Your brain's not working after that point. The entire day, brain's gone now. Every day when I was trying to become an entrepreneur, that's what my reality looked like. Wake up, sap the brain points so quickly by scrolling, checking messages, playing a few games, and then smoking weed. And the whole day would just be gone over and over again. But there was a few days where I'd wake up and the first thing I'd do was sit down on my laptop and quickly go work on a big task. Like at the time I was trying drop shipping. So I remember this one day where I sat down and I made the website that I had been talking about to my girlfriend. All week I had been talking about, I'm going to make this new website for this fitness product. And I made it in one morning. I remember because she would wake up a lot later than I would. We had like different circadian rhythms or something. So this day I set an alarm. I woke up at 5. I spent hours on it with complete focus, with stinky breath, like no coffee, no weed, no nothing. I literally just sat down on my laptop, made it in like 4 hours. Then I did, the morning routine, brushed, showered and stuff. And I remember I came back into bed. I still remember this so well. And she was just about waking up. So I went in to cuddle her and we spoke about, whatever. And I told her, like, oh yeah, I made the website. And I remember the look of like shock and surprise on her face where she was like, wait, you made it? I had been talking about making it for the last week, making it out to be this massive project. And it was actually, from what I remember, like I remember being proud of it. Like it actually looked good. All the buttons worked and everything. And I made it in like the space of 3 or 4 hours in one morning because I conserved all of my brain points. I didn't do any random task that day. I didn't check my phone or anything like that. I didn't add anything else in the day. I just went and saved all the brain points for the big task. Of course, after that, then I smoked weed and played games and whatever, and I didn't do anything else productive that day from what I can remember. So the concept of brain points and how this can be valuable for you is I want you to just use it as an analogy to think about how you're living your life and what your daily routine is like. The best case scenario when it comes to you becoming an entrepreneur and making money is that you wake up and all your brain points are conserved for those big tasks that you've got to do in business, like for example, scripting your content, making the sales page, making the product, making the content, recording it, editing it. These things can be quite exhausting, right? I know how exhausting it is to record some content. You keep stuttering, you don't know what video you're supposed to make, it sounds a bit cringe, whatever. And I know how like exhausting it can be to like edit your own videos. I've done that as well. But you need to conserve your brain points for those tasks. And it's vital that when you wake up, you conserve the brain points before you do anything else, like in the sort of pleasure space of checking your phone and all that stuff. You just go and sit down and work and do those tasks first, because doing tasks has kind of like an eligibility line with brain points. Like to do a big task, like let's say like scripting a video, you need to be above 80 brain points. If you're not, you just feel mentally incapable to do the task. So those days where you wake up and you check your phone and you eat beforehand, and then you have to go to school or you go to work beforehand, and then you keep saying to yourself, like, gotta script that video, gotta edit that video, and you're like, oh, I just don't want to. Like I might just have like an off day today. Like I just don't want to. I don't blame you for that, because those days your brain points are literally less than what was required for the task. So you genuinely feel like mentally, physically incapable of doing the task. But again, I need to ask you, you don't want to live like that, right? It's such a shitty feeling to feel like, oh man, I just don't feel like I can do the work right now. Doesn't it? Like, aren't the days where you feel like you can do the work kind of easily, like they're the better days, right? The way that you get more days like that is like you have to position those tasks earlier on in the day with a strategy that I call Eat the Frog, which I'll make like a separate video on, where basically we will wake up and do the hard tasks first before school, before we go to the gym, before we eat anything, maybe even before we go to the bathroom and before we shower and brush our teeth. We just sit down like dirty little entrepreneurs with stinky breath and just do it in like the first thing we do, because we wake up with 100 brain points and then we utilize them right away so that we can script, because scripting requires more than 80, for example. So we can script, we can do that, we record it, we edit it, boom. We've got like 45 brain points left. And here's the best bit. Now you want to check your phone, you can do. Now you want to go eat, you can do. So there's a few questions. Now I want to break this down and explain this further. You understand the general point now is, okay, conserve your brain points for the bigger task. Okay. Now let's go over a few extra parts of this mindset. Number one, how can you increase the amount of brain points that you wake up with? Because you wake up with 70, I wake up with about 300. That's the reason why I'm more successful than you and many other people. I wake up with way more brain points than a lot of other guys, especially the beginner entrepreneurs. Why? Was I born like this? Fuck no. But I've trained myself to wake up with more, and here's a few ideas how. Number one, sleep. If you have bad sleep and if you routinely are inconsistent in your sleep, you're going to wake up with less brain points compared to waking up with more. I never actually understood the importance of sleep up until this season of life I'm in right now, where I've become a kickboxer. I have my first fight in just over a week. And in the last like 2 months, I really have taken sleep way more seriously. I've kind of like finished the bridge of improving my sleep. And I actually, for the first time ever, really noticed the difference now because I've been getting some great nights of sleep. And it's like my training has just been so much more better. Like it's so like, um, I'm so aware of how much sleep has helped me, right? So now I will tell you, good sleep is absolutely going to increase the amount of brain points that you wake up with. You think you sleep relatively fine. You'd be humbled if you went and got one of those sleep trackers, you know, the Aura Ring or the Whoop tracker. You'd be humbled if you got one of those because you might realize you wake up like 10 times in the night like I do, or you might realize that your like REM sleep is only 55 minutes or something. Most people don't sleep anywhere near as good as they think they do. We're all just used to being chronically sleep deprived because of like school and our jobs and whatever. So if you can sleep better, you'll wake up with more brain points. And I'll give you a tip in sleep, which many people don't talk about. But sleep regularity is actually more important than sleep quantity. You know how all the doctors used to say, like, you need to get like 7 to 9 hours of sleep? Turns out that the time you go to sleep is actually more important than that. And if you're an overthinking little autist like I am and you like to fiddle with things, you might change your wake up time or your bedtime quite often. Like in the last month or 2 months, let's say from the New Year's, have you had like this new mindset of like, oh, I'll try waking up at this time, or, you know, I'll wake up earlier, or I'll go to sleep at this time? Anyone who's like me will be like, fuck yeah, like 4 times I've already changed my bedtime to try and optimize it or whatever. I was over optimizing it so much that I was basically sleeping inconsistently. Not because I was like some dopamine fiend like most people, but because I was like such an autist where I'd randomly go and experiment with like going to sleep at 11 p.m. instead of 7 p.m., or I'd wake up at 4, or I'd wake up at 6. And I kept on changing shit till eventually I saw this study which said that the top sleepers always go to sleep at the same time within a 15-minute period, 7 days a week. 15 minutes is not a lot. Let's say if your bedtime's 9 p.m., that means that you go to sleep as early as like 8:45 or as late as 9:15, no more outside of that range. You might be thinking, yeah, I do. I guarantee if you really like check the time that you're like fully trying to sleep, you might see like, oh shit, it's like it actually varies by over an hour just inside of the week, maybe even 2 hours. Maybe one night you go to sleep super early, like 8:45. A few days later, it's like 10:30. You're like, oh shit, that's almost 2 hours. 15 minutes. So I'm very proud to say this year, so far, I have not been awake later than about 8:45. Like every single night, 100% of the nights I've been in bed before 9 p.m. I have like this alarm that goes off at 8:20, and most nights it's been about 8:20. The alarm goes off. I quickly stand up. I use like candles and stuff at nighttime, so I blow all them out, put my retainers in and stuff. Every single night I'm in bed at like 8:25. Super consistent. My sleep has improved, and now I feel like I wake up with more brain points because of that. So number one, improve your sleep by sleeping more regularly at the same time, and then you'll wake up with more brain points. Number two, your diet. So carbs will lower your brain points. You might be watching this, but carbs aren't bad, right? Like rice and stuff, it's good for bodybuilding. Yeah, but we're not talking about bodybuilding, are we, motherfucker? Now, if you want to be a bodybuilder, by all means. Do you want to be a fucking entrepreneur or not? Which one do you want to optimize for more? Don't be cute and tell me, oh, but you can do both. Motherfucker, you barely are doing one, so shut the fuck up. You can do both. You're poor and also you don't have a good physique, so you're not doing either one. So don't be cute and say, like, you can do both. Shut up. Which one would you rather have? Which one is the bigger priority for you? If it's bodybuilding, by all means, go ahead. Go eat every 3 hours. Go ahead. Go maximize. But if you're here because entrepreneurship and making money would be the priority over your physique and your looks, which once you become a man, that usually is the case, then you have to actually start prioritizing your diet for your work and your brain and not for your lifts in the gym. This took a bit of a transition period, I remember, for me, because bodybuilding was a lot of my life. It was the one sort of productive cornerstone habit that I had when I was first getting onto self-improvement. And so to not try and maximize gains, it was a bit of a struggle for me. But I urge you to try this as well. If you've probably never tried like really lowering the carbs of your diet, that means no sugar, no carbs, no pasta, no bread, no rice, no nothing. You're thinking like, yeah, but that's all fine if I hit my macros and my calories. Again, motherfucker, we're not talking about bodybuilding. Of course, this might give you a worse physique, but I'm talking about how your brain feels. So get out of this mindset of thinking like, yeah, but if I eat carbs, but I'm in the same calories, it's fine. We're not talking about calories, muscle mass, fat loss, whatever. We're simply talking about how your brain reacts to eating those things. Most people that I've found have an inverse, like a bad effect from having carbs and sugar in their diet, any amount. I certainly do very much. I'm quite sensitive to it, but basically everyone I speak to, when I convince them to lower the carbs in their diet, they come to me and they're like, holy shit, I haven't felt like this smart in like years. When you lower the carbs in your diet, so basically you go onto the keto diet where you only eat fat and protein. Again, not because this is going to help you lose weight or anything, but your brain will just feel sharper. It's like if you usually wake up with 100 brain points with more of the balanced bodybuilder style diet, and then you take the carbs out and you just eat fat and protein, you'll wake up with the equivalent of like 150, maybe even 200 brain points the next day. You're like, I literally get like twice as much work done. Now, of course, you need to just ask yourself, what's the priority? Like for me, I have a kickboxing fight in like a week, so I'm eating carbs right now. I'm not afraid to tell you that because I'm in a different season of life to you. If you're not making like 5, 10K a month, the first 5 or 10K a month you make will be utterly life-changing for you. So it would make sense for you to align your diet completely to that. I'm in a little season right now where I'm actually in the season of like being an athlete. So I'm going to align my diet to that and have more carbs, just like all the pro fighters at my gym do. Once this season's done, I'm going to be lowering the carbs again, and I'm going to be going back to more of the sort of business diet instead of the bodybuilding diet. But for you, just give it a try. I know you'll have all these like random thoughts like, oh, but you know, like, oh, this other person says it's not necessary and whatever. But again, if you just fucking try it, look, whenever you've tried shit that I've recommended, it's always made your life better. Like I have such a fucking good track record for telling you to do stuff. When you eventually fucking try it, you're like, oh yeah, Hamza was right yet again that this habit was right for me. Every single fucking thing I tell you is usually right for you, right? Every single time. I bet you've had so many times where you're like, holy fuck, Hamza was telling me to do this habit for so long. I finally did it. Now I realize why he was telling me to act like that so long. I'm telling you, this is the same. For the season of life you're in, where you're desperately trying to go from $0 to $10,000 a month, I'm telling you, just cut the carbs, cut the sugars. Don't be upset like, oh, but what about my lifts in the gym, my muscle mass? Who gives a fuck? You can always build that again. Get to 10K a month. Then you can add them back in and you can have like a bodybuilder season. You can go buy fucking like a personal trainer or whatever. Like you can sort that out in the meantime. But just align everything to getting yourself to like 10K a month first, because you just will change so much because of that. And I'm telling you, just lowering the carbs in your diet is such a big thing with that. Now, another thing that you can do to sort of improve your brain points is to make sure that nothing is sapping them, like, for example, your notifications on your phone, on your computer. So I say this all the time, please just, again, this is one of those things where like, if you just fucking trust me and do it, you're going to look back and be like, holy shit, Hamza was saying this for months. I don't know why I didn't listen. Go on your phone, go on the settings, search for notifications, and go down every single app and turn them all off. So I don't get notifications on my phone, which means like when I click my power button or I like scroll down the thing, there's nothing there. The only way that I get like, that I see, you know, if someone's messaged me is if I click on that specific app. This is literally for WhatsApp, for text messages, for Instagram. I'm telling you, I have done this literally from like 2021, 2022, around that time, maybe even 2020. And I'm telling you, this is one of the big reasons why I became successful over the last few years and most people didn't, because I have the ability to work with such great focus. I can't remember the last time my phone made like a fucking ding kind of fucking noise or anything like that. I'm recording with my phone right now, but I even have on my phone, there's a setting you can go on, turn off, which I recommend, which is called Rise to Wake. So this is for iPhone, where basically if you pick up your phone, the screen usually lights up. And I saw that feature and I was like, I don't want that. The only time I want my phone to kind of like be on is if I've pressed the fucking power button. I see these fucking maniacs next to me who complain about being poor, and I see their phone fucking lights up with a notification and they grab it like a little dickhead. Like, I want you to just know, I think you're a fucking dickhead if you don't do this. I think you're such a fucking moron. Look, if you're fine with being broke, then it's okay. But you're watching this video because you're not. So that means that you're a fucking dickhead because you're not okay with being broke, but then you refuse to like take action on this. Just go do it right now, for the love of fucking God. It's not even hard. It takes you 10 seconds and it will literally give you like hours every week of productivity. It will stop the random sapping of your brain points where when you wake up, you grab your phone to turn off the alarm, whatever, and straight away, as soon as you see one notification, I'm telling you, you've lost like 25 brain points that morning. It's huge. You don't think it, right? Because you're thinking like, yeah, but I only see it for like 1 second. It doesn't do much. But it's like it's turned that part of your brain on about like the sort of external world, the social situations that you're in. I'm telling you, as a guy who has had notifications on in the past and who has them off, I'm telling you, like the difference is fucking huge. It's not about the 1 second that you see the notification. It's that it puts your mind in this sort of fragmented state. Those days when I wake up and I don't check my phone, I don't see anything. I literally wake up with stinky breath and I sit down and I work. I'm telling you, like I feel so productive and focused. But those days where sometimes I'll wake up and I'll go on WhatsApp to like message someone or whatever, and my eyes kind of like see like a couple of the message previews from other people, I notice just how distracted I am, where I keep on needing to feel like, oh, like, I'm doing some task on my laptop that day and I feel like, oh, I've got to message that person. Oh, I've got to do this. It's like the sort of outside external social world is now in my brain because I saw something about it this morning. Whereas those days where I wake up, where I do nothing other than just sit on the computer straight away, it's like my brain often doesn't think about the random people outside of my home. It just thinks about the task. So for the love of God, please take this as an action step. Go on your phone, notifications on all apps. And whatever fear you have, like, oh, but what if someone messages me? What if I don't see a message from the group chat? Yeah, but like when you're fucking rich and you've got clout, it's like, it's fine. People make an exception for you. But like no one expects me to message them back fast. And guess what? Everyone still wants to be my friend. Every single day that I see guys who I can tell they want to like be with me, they want to be friends with me, they want to try and do business with me. Every single day there's like a girl who comes up to me. It's like that, like I'm not even flexing. That's literally an objective fact. If it offends you, get the fuck off this channel, pussy. That's just an objective fucking bullet point information fact right there. When you've got clout and you're successful and you've got money, people think it's fine, right? So, but the only way you'll get there right now is if you go and take this step, because this is for your advantage. So go turn all that shit off. Keep your phone on do not disturb as well. Because again, imagine you've got 100 brain points, you wake up and again, something fucking lights up, someone's calling you, someone's this. You need to set these digital boundaries around you and your work. A great book for this is called Deep Work by Cal Newport. 100% of people who are watching this should go and read that book at least once in their lives, because you'd realize just how much of our work days are just fragmented by this bullshit, this constant push notification. And it's one of the biggest reasons why your brain points are getting sapped. And like half the days of the week, you find yourself kind of procrastinating the work that you said you would, and you just feel like mentally incapable to do it. Again, it's such a shit feeling. That feeling of feeling incapable to do the work that you said you would is, in my opinion, worse than the feeling where you check your phone after a few hours and you see that someone tried to message you and you've got to message them back and say, oh, sorry, bro, I didn't see it till now. You see my point with this, right? So from now on, I want you to keep the idea of brain points in your mind and constantly ask yourself, am I spending brain points wisely? When you check your phone early on in the day before you finish your work, no. When you are scrolling on Instagram or checking some messages or on YouTube, whatever, all of that stuff is just sapping you. 5 brain points, 10, 15. And as soon as you go below that bar of the requirements for the big task, it's like, oh man, the day's basically fucked now. So this is how you're going to become a top performer. You conserve the brain points, you wake up and you just put them into the important task that's right in front of you. That's how you will produce at such an elite level, where you won't miss your upload schedule, where you'll set up the product, the sales page, everything else that's holding you back from making your first $10,000. It all just comes from how you spend your brain points. The top link in the description underneath this video is the community for guys who are on the journey to making their first $10,000, so you can go and join that for free. And the second link is the paid program, where we help you get faster results, so you can just go click on that if you're interested. Goodbye.